In the summer of 2005, a few days before I had to leave Erfurt, I stopped at a bookstore to find something to read for the trip home. I saw a book that looked interesting, titled Stadtbaugeschichte by Thomas Nitz. I picked it up and put it in my rucksack to read on the long flight home. In English, the title means City, Architecture, History. The subtitle reads Development of a City as Seen by Its Architecture. The author, Thomas Nitz, works for a department of the Thuringian provincial government responsible for historic properties. He published Stadtbaugeschichte as his doctoral thesis, first in a graduate student style folder and later in book format, as German law requires. Dr. Nitz did, in my opinion, an absolutely remarkable job showing that architectural development in a city depends on the health of the local economy. The more wealth, the classier the buildings. The history of Erfurt, in effect, begins in 1080 AD, when a regional war reduced the city to burned ruins. The ruling religious authority, the Archbishopric of Mainz, realized that it had to reorganize Erfurt as a more secure place to live in order to give it any chance of surviving. Erfurt had to make citizens of its people, permit them to make a decent living, and give them the means, i.e., money, to facilitate their transactions. Additionally, Erfurt needed to be able to defend itself from criminals as well as invaders from rival kingdoms. So, the Archbishop took steps that would define European culture for the next 1,000 years. He built a wall around Erfurt. It cost a great deal of money, so he had to recoup the expenditures in the form of tax revenue. The name for a walled city is Burg in German and Burg in French. People who lived in them were called Bürger in German and bourgeois in French. The names of German cities like Hamburg and Regensburg reflect their origin as walled cities. They succeeded because they offered security and order to their citizens. The Archbishop let the citizens of Erfurt lease land. They paid a property tax on their parcels each year, called a Zins in German. Payment of the Zins gave citizens Freizinsrecht, meaning they could do whatever they wanted with the parcel of land. They paid the tax at their local parish church. Church officers created files for each parcel, much like a modern property tax agency. Each file gave the name of the lessee, the amount of tax he paid, and a description of his use of the land. Those records still exist and are maintained in the city archive of Erfurt, called the Stadtarchiv. Scholars can view those files, which are nearly complete back to the 14th century. With the wealth they created, citizens could build homes suited to their needs. At the high end, the homes had arched entrances for the passage of work wagons and carriages. Behind the homes lay work yards where laborers wove baskets, processed animal hides, or made roof tiles, doors, bricks, and windows. They also had buildings for storing inventory. For expansion and renovation, Erfurters needed loans, more or less like today. Jews served as moneylenders, since the Archbishop forbade Christians from loaning money at interest. In 1998, archaeologists in Erfurt discovered a jar full of coins underneath a demolished house and determined that the hoard had belonged to Jewish moneylenders in the 14th century. Finally, undergirding the wealth of the walled city was money itself, primarily silver and gold coinage. Throughout Europe, official mints made coins of similar size and weight so that citizens of different nations and kingdoms could use the coins interchangeably. That saved a great deal of time and trouble otherwise spent dealing with money changers. These factors made more people want to move to Erfurt. It eventually outgrew its original wall, so the Archbishop commissioned a second one to increase the living area. Nothing has fundamentally changed in the 700 years since that time. People want a safe, orderly society where they can live, work, and raise a family. Americans need to refresh their understanding of these principles once in a while so that they can renew their nation and move forward.